Hey everybody, Andrew here, and it's good to see you. It's been a couple of days. Christmas and Christmas Eve just got away from me, and I really wasn't feeling that great. But hey, we're back at it today. Got the wide angle shot. Miss Coraline and Lamb Chop wanted to be in the scene today. We'll see how long she lasts. But it's great to see everyone. I hope everyone had a great Christmas. I know I sure did. And I want to kick things off today with a little bit of testimony, and then I'll jump into some more reading from the book. And if you're just joining us now, I'm talking about my First Men of Faith youth biblical fiction book series, which I'm in the process of writing and creating along with, the people in real time, and just sharing some of my story and updates as we go, and doing this thing all creatively, divinely inspired by the Holy Spirit, rather than letting AI do the work, which we're seeing so much of on these self-published platforms, more so than ever, even with the art. But decided to do things different, when go a different way when everybody else is going a certain way, and plan on painting my cover art. I got my latest painting here in the background. You might have saw me paint that one on Wednesday. If not, jump back a video and you'll see that. It's pretty cool. It's pretty fun. But yeah, I wanted to kick off today with a huge shout out to Pastor Rick Scadden, he's about to publish his first book. It comes out a little later in like 2 weeks, for second or third week of January. And it's called Four-Time Felon, Finding Hope in the Ashes. And I bring that up not just because we're proud of Pastor Rick, which we certainly are, but he's definitely stands out as someone who has basically done a complete 180. And I don't know his whole story. I can't wait to read the book for this reason. But I have heard bits and pieces of his testimony at church, and I know he was involved in some pretty heavy stuff, and he had some pretty heavy punishments come down on him that he was eventually liberated from, and during that process, really turned things around. And now he's preaching to thousands of people every week. And so I think there's some mirrors there in my own story, and then of course it's a common thread and a commonality among so many people and young men that I know who have been through the ringer, whether they put themselves through it or they were a product of circumstance and environment. But they've been through the ringer, and it really didn't click, and things didn't really turn around until they were able to commit their life to Jesus and see his grace delivered them from the lion's den time and time again. And so maybe you're feeling like right now, maybe you're in that spot. Maybe you're seeing this from not such a good place. Maybe you're struggling with addiction. Maybe you're struggling with feeling like you're locked down or locked up, right? And maybe I can encourage you today to keep walking in faith, because for me, it takes time. It takes dedication and faith and time. And so, but God does deliver us. He does. And so I want to talk a little bit more. I think Rick's story and his testimony and his honesty kind of frees me up to feel like I can talk about some of these stories from my own life, right? So, I've been incarcerated myself 4 times. First time when I was 16, again when I was like 20, again at 21, and then more recently. And when I was younger, I'm lucky that I was never really into hard drugs, and like never really into anything too terrible. It was more like, we were smart kids, and we got bored, and we lived a suburban life, and we would get into mischief more often than not, is most of what it was related to. And some of it was being in the wrong place at the wrong time, but some of it was also being with the wrong people too often, right? And so, it's been little things. It was like little things, a little weekend here, a little weekend there for the most part when I was younger. And I think, the worst thing that ever happened to us is my friends and I were accidentally mistaken for suspects in a major crime and held at gunpoint by the police. They stopped our car, pulled us over, and there must have been 8 to 12 cops with rifles and pistols drawn on us. And yeah, it was intense. It was scary. It was a bit of a wake up call. And shout out to my two friends that went through that with me that day, when we were really just minding our own business, having a great day, and really not even up to no good. But that tends to be the way it happens. You get away with all this stuff over and over and over and over and over again, and then it's the day when you're just walking down the street minding your own business that things can go seriously wrong, right? So yeah, in 2020, when I was 30 years old, I actually found myself in jail one last time, God willing. But it was completely a mistake, and it was completely wrong. And I'll be honest, it was pretty crushing to go through that, because I felt like I didn't have a leg to stand on as soon as I got in there. I kind of knew, after a certain point, I knew that there was no way I was going to talk my way out of it. And once I got there, I just felt completely overwhelmed. I had just started my first job as a scientist, so first real big boy job, right? I had only worked like a week before this happened, and I was expected to be, this like happened on like a Friday or a Saturday, and I was expected to be back at work Monday morning. So I thought my new job was ruined. Nobody wanted to believe me. I had all this previous mischief stuff from when I was a kid, so they weren't giving me a chance to even explain that I could be innocent. My partner didn't believe me. My parents didn't want to believe me. I was worried. I was supposed to pick up my son the next day. I was worried about what was going to happen to him or what he was going to think. And so it was just like from all layers around me, it was this crushing blow, and it was very disheartening. And I just remember I couldn't even move or speak for like the first 24 hours that I was in there. I was so hopeless, and I thought, I just was like, I don't belong here. I don't deserve to be here. And I prayed a lot, and I said, God, please, I made all these promises. Please get me out of here. Please deliver me from this. I'm not, and like the hardest part I think for me, and the reason it was so crushing, is because I was living a pretty good life at that time. There was little things, but it was nothing like anything like before when I was getting into mischief all the time. And so it was kind of just like, it was like a throwback to the day we had the guns drawn on us, and like, hey, I was really just enjoying my life, hitting my strides, moving through some challenges, and I felt like I was doing really good. So this was just like a smack in the face, like huge setback, right? And so, yeah, I made all these promises to God, like, hey, you just got to get me out of this. I'm not going to smoke cigarettes anymore. I'm going to be a better parent. I'm going to be a better boyfriend. I'm going to, do all these things that I've been promising to do since I was a teenager to make my life better. Just please help me get out of here, right? And sure enough, I did. I was only in there a few days. Luckily, I was able to get out. And when I did, though, I still had this like pending case looming over me, and I still had to go through this whole process. And I took all the money I had to hire a lawyer and help me fight this, and it still took over 2 years of court cases and money and battling for me to prove my innocence. And it was tough. There was times I wanted to just give up. I was so angry at sometimes. I felt like this incredible amount of loss and loss of reputation and trust and all these things from the most important people in my life. And, I went a month or two without seeing my son at all. My partner and I split up during this time, and I was still praying to God to restore these things from my life. And it was tough, because I felt like I had already just overcome so much and cleared myself so much in the past couple of years leading up to this incident. And I had to be patient. I had to keep the faith and be patient. And, part of it was I didn't necessarily do those things I promised God right away. I tried and I failed and I tried and I failed. But it was this year, 5 years later, that I finally said, you know what? God has been more than patient with me. He showed me way more grace than I deserved. And I really need to like finally put the nicotine down for good and not even, change that, remove that from my identity. And so, but he did. He restored those things. My son was returned to me. I didn't lose my job. I was able to still show up the next week, and I only missed one day. And I explained I was able to explain what was going on. My girlfriend and I got back together after a period of time when I was able to kind of, iron some things out. And so it all was restored. It all came back to me. It's like the story of Job, right? That one I constantly I'm constantly quoting to like my employees or whoever, somebody who seems like they're having a really tough time and tough day. I'm always bringing up Job, and I'm like, well, remember Job lost everything, and some of it wasn't some of it he couldn't get back. It was given to him in a different way, but it's like the loss of life, right? And so I think we got to remember that sometimes it is sort of like a test, like God gave to Job, and it is sort of even when things are so bad and so tough and so harsh. Sometimes it pales in comparison to what the next person's going through, and the things that feel unfair that are happening to them, right? But the truth is, we fall so short that if we were to get what we truly deserved, it would be very ugly. It'd be a terrible scene. So even when these tough things are happening that you feel like, I don't deserve this, the truth is, we do. We deserve hell. We deserve death. And it's through the grace of God and the act of Jesus on the cross that we're able to be absolved of everything. So yeah, with that, let's go ahead and jump into some reading for today. I'm excited to share this with you guys. So this is from chapter 1, Born Under the Sword. So a couple of videos ago, you heard the intro scene where Abel and Adam are out making a sacrifice. And today we're going to jump in. This is from Eve's perspective. So I opened this first chapter with a poem from Eve. We talked about how she was, kind of in her character developed. She was very conflicted. She was hopeful and expectant, but also, kind of trying to understand what God means by some of the things he's told her and some of the promises he's made and stuff like that. So this first poem is sort of from Eve's perspective. Genesis 4:1-2. And Adam knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I've gotten a man from the Lord. And she again bare his brother Abel. And Abel was a keeper of sheep, and Cain was a tiller of the ground. I have cried out to God in pain, and he answered back with life. A man, flesh from my own sorrow, bone from the ache of exile, my firstborn. I have gotten a man from the Lord. Is he the one, the promised seed, the serpent crusher, the end of endings? When he opened his mouth and cried, I wept with him, for joy, for dread, for all I could not name. Cain, my heart wrapped tight around him, like leaves around the figs. Clarity. Why then did Abel come? Quiet and breathless as a breeze in Eden, a whisper of gentler things. Were his eyes not as fierce as Cain's? Not as hungry? He smiled softly, knowingly. He sang to the lambs. 2 sons, 2 chances? Would one of them turn the curse back? I taught them to speak the name. I whispered the promise into their sleep. He will crush the serpent's head. I told them, though I did not understand. Abel, young and thoughtful, watches the horizon. The air is quiet, but heavy. From the homestead, Abel could see the shimmer of Eden's boundaries, a curtain of light and heat hanging just above the horizon. It had been many years since he and Cain had dared to sneak away and venture close enough to see the flaming sword swirling. As the sun sinks low, the faint glow of the flaming sword glows stark in the western sky. The white light of the moon blankets the homestead, and occasional streaks of crimson pulse beyond the veil of trees. The cherubim's movements create turbulence in the skies over the gate, causing most birds to completely avoid the area. "Mother," Abel asked, "why does the sword burn?" Eve's hand paused in their weaving, her face weathered, not with age, but with the pain of remembering. She answers slowly, as if choosing each word from a deep well inside of her. It was declared long ago, on the day the ground opened up beneath us and God shut the gate behind. Was it your fault? In a way, but not only mine. We were meant to guard the garden. Instead, we brought thorns. Abel stares at the distant light. It flickers brightly, like it knows he is watching. Will we ever go back? Eve looks towards Eden, but she doesn't answer right away. Then, I always thought you might. When we first left the garden, things were very difficult until your brother was born. And now? Now I wait. And I hope. And I watch you both. Abel doesn't know what to say. But in that silence, something ancient stirs. A yearning not his own. A longing passed down in blood. That's going to do it for today. We'll be back tomorrow. And thank you guys so much for listening. I appreciate every like, every comment, every share. It's just getting better and better as time goes on. We'll catch you on the next one.